Hello and welcome to episode 60 of When the Flames Go Up, the ATFC podcast. The shots still aren't quite safe yet. And yeah, that's what we discussed today. Over the Easter period, the shots played Sutton and Woking. We discussed that with Ian and Charlie on the panel. We didn't, I think I may have made mention or something to not knowing where these players are at some point during this record. I don't know, went immediately onto Instagram and saw a post from Aldershot that had listed all the injuries and all the progress. So yeah, go and look at that. That's quite a good resource for knowing what our players are out for and their injuries, or the long term ones at least. That also confirmed that Ryan Jones has fractured his tibia after Dan Moss's challenge on Monday. So yeah, we wish him all the very best in his recovery. And yeah, I can't remember if I said it during the episode, but I'm absolutely gutted for the guy that he misses out on Wembley. Anyway, it's really hard to think about it right now because there's still, the slight embarrassment of losing 3-0 away to Woking and the still not knowing about relegation, but we are still going to Wembley and we're still going to have a great day out. So yeah, please do send in your Wembley day out, what you're planning, who's coming in with you, all that kind of stuff. Send it into atfcpodcast@gmail.com and we'll read it out in the Wembley special, which is going to be exciting. Hope you all got your tickets. Get on it now if you haven't. I imagine you all have. Anyway, enjoy this episode and up the shots. So the Shots gain 1 point from the Easter festivities and sit in 17th place, leapfrogged by Woking yesterday in the Easter Monday game of a 3-0 defeat at Kingfield. Before that came a 1-1 draw at home to Sutton on Good Friday. So the Shots still not mathematically safe, and after the last few weeks of 7-2s and 4-0s, and now the most recent 3-0, the goal difference isn't looking as rosy as it was a few weeks ago, meaning that Dagred and Braintree and Boston and Wealdstone still have a part to play in taking Aldershot to the last game. So we'll get on to talking about what's to come, but before that, we'll have a word about Easter. Charlie, I'm going to come to you first. I guess we'll start just generally. 1 point from those two games. Um, Disappointing return. And what are your thoughts on the two performances that you saw?
Yeah, well, I think as we all know, the games have been coming thick and fast, and I think they've really been kind of taking their toll on various members of the team, and with the likes of injuries, suspensions, that type of thing. I think the team selection on Friday against Sutton definitely showed that. And again, actually, moving on to the working game on the Monday as well, it was the same. But if we start with Sutton, the experiment of Theo Widrington and James Henry playing centre midfield did have me quite worried at the start of the game, for perhaps a lack of legs. And obviously Maxi Mullins, who's basically played all season up front as an impact player off the bench, going up front, starting at centre back, that also took me by surprise as well. And I think that kind of showed in the first half against Sutton, where we were looking really quite shaky. More or less from the first minute, really. I think we had a few minutes at the beginning where we looked okay, but they kind of took control, and it just felt like we were really struggling to get out of our half for about half an hour or so until they scored. Armitage and Mullins in particular really seemed to be struggling to make clean connections with the ball and actually clear the ball upfield. And we really weren't putting anything together. I was quite impressed with Sutton in the first half, and the goal when it came was obviously really well taken. Great strike from Simper. But yeah, I'm just pleased that we managed to rally in the second half, because I really didn't see that coming after the first 45 minutes. And I think, as much as I said, I don't think the James Henry and centre midfield experiment worked that well. He did play a brilliant ball for Barrett's goal. That was an absolutely wonderful pass, a great move. And I think from that point onwards, Sutton occasionally looking a little bit threatening on the break, we did look the side more likely to score. Jack Barham had a pretty decent half chance, and Barra had a few kind of slight openings as well. But I think overall a draw was probably fair based on the game. But yeah, I definitely didn't see that cup one coming at half time.
No. Yeah, so the yeah, James Henry for the goal, he kind of puts his hands up to say sorry about that. Gives it away in the central midfield. In fairness, it looked like for about two or three times like he was going to keep the ball, but and he, kind of bundles into two players and then finally gives it up. But by the time he's given it up, he's up at the halfway line and Simper is in acres of space to run into and on his lovely little left foot, sticking it in the bottom corner. I would love to have him. He looks quality in that first half. He was really impressed. I assumed I was going to see this player had been on loan somewhere, um, or on loan from somewhere higher up, because I've not really I don't think I've seen him before. But yeah, he seems to be around this level. But yeah, really impressed by him. Um,
He was good at Sutton as well. Actually, I remember that. He's definitely takes a good set piece. Really good left foot.
yeah, you definitely notice them more when they're whipping it with the
Yeah,
left, don't you? Yeah, that's the what we miss from Harfield and Scott being out, I suppose. Um, Ian, you weren't there at the Sutton game on Friday, but you saw the Woking game. What were your thoughts on the 1 point from four games over the Easter?
Yeah, I mean, when I was on last week, I was hoping that the Sutton game would be a good opportunity to reset and getting a point. I thought, okay, we've hopefully stopped the rot there. From the reports, we could have got beat, but we've done well, dug in, got 1-1 draw. And I thought, okay, well, maybe we can go to Monday with some optimism, some confidence. But then I saw the lineup and yeah, text my mates who support other clubs, but I said, oh, I think Woking are a bet here looking at this lineup. Do normally trust Tommy with the lineups on the basis that, there's been a couple of times when he's named a side that I wouldn't have come up with, but we've got a good result out of it. Most notably, Gateshead away last season, where we're sort of scratching our head, but that was one of those masterstrokes. And yeah, I was very, very worried. And yeah, 3-0 down in very, very quick time and only less than clinical finishing prevented it from being an absolute embarrassment, unfortunately. So I'm relieved it was only 3-0.
Yeah, yeah, and on the selection, obviously, as Charlie mentioned, that in the Sutton game with Widdrington and Henry in the central midfield, we had a new pairing of Dejan Tetek and Anderson. Um, Dejan did get minutes. He think he came on for Henry in the Sutton game, but yeah, we haven't seen him um, for ages. I said he's not. I said to my mate, he's not even coming on. He wasn't even wearing red socks at half time. So I was like, well, he's not coming on. He's just there to go through the motions. And then lo and behold, he did come on. Showed his classical kind of tidy touches. Um, in midfield. But yeah, it's good to see him back. But yeah, I was very surprised that he was getting 90 immediately at Woking, or a start at least. And then we had a different striker partnership as well. So we had Barham and Barrett up top for the Sutton game, and then we had Gandor, who's come back, and Kwame Thomas up top. So yeah, really weird selections, which seemed to be from Tommy's post match, like they the suggestion that obviously I hope this is true that they know the players better than us, which I'll be amazed if anyone does know better. Um, but again we kind of come back to the same thing. We don't really know why these decisions are being made. I mean, I think if we there was an inkling that Theo had been protected from this game, the game on Monday, to make sure he wasn't targeted. Um, the hammer ended up falling on Ryan Jones's shoulders, who got wiped out twice from Dan Moss. We better mention it. It's the first one in the first half, where he kind of sides him down in midfield, gets a yellow, pretty standard. And then the second one in the second half, um, he gets the ball. It's kind of 50-50. I mean, it's 60-40. He makes it. He gets the ball first. And then you can see it on the replay. And there's three replays on the Woking highlights, which don't look good for him. But yeah, with kind of two feet and the studs kind of hit higher up the shin. and that has now ruled out Ryan Jones for the. I mean, I know. I think we said this last season. The rest of the season is a um, bit. There's 2 games left now, but obviously he's not going to be able to have his day out at Wembley, which is a great shame for a player that's probably going to be way up on the player of the season listings, I imagine, for people. Charlie, what were your thoughts on that challenge and the decision not to give a yellow? I immediately thought he did give a yellow, but he gave a yellow to Barham immediately. I don't know what Barham must have said in the heat of the moment, but
Yeah, I mean, I was first of all, I'd completely forgotten the fact that Dan must have been booked in the first half. I looked back at the highlights and I saw that foul, and obviously I remember it now, and that's just clear a day as yellow as you're going to see. Jones just skipped past him, he gets side down. When I saw it, I thought it was a kind of similar to you. He did clearly get the ball, but he absolutely takes out the man as well. And I said to my brother at the time, like, if this was the Premier League and we had VAR, they'd look at that and I think that would have been a straight red. So yeah, very surprised that a free kick wasn't even given. And I do think it's one of those where if the referee had given a free kick, he would have booked him and therefore he would have been sent off. It did feel very much like the referee almost doubled down on his immediate decision to not to give a free kick by like quite firmly booking the likes of Barham. And I don't think the referee thought for a second it was a foul at all. But yeah, it was just so heavy and so needless. And it's just a real shame because I think there's been talk since we got to the FA Trophy final that maybe some players we'd have concerns that some players might play within themselves, or be a little bit worried about getting injured for Wembley. And I think obviously Tommy, you know, I think he probably did protect Theo by not selecting him for the Woking game. And it's just a shame that someone who's played a lot of games and been a very good player for us, and then who has played in the FA Trophy game and played in the league game just now is going to miss out in Ryan Jones. And it's a concern for me because we've still got 2 important league games left, and I think any players will be looking at what happened to Ryan Jones and really worrying about that for themselves now, because they'll all have an eye on Wembley. There's no denying that. So yeah, I definitely think it was a second yellow, and yeah, a bad tackle.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, you mentioned the Premier League. Obviously, we had about a few weeks ago, didn't we? The Liverpool Everton game with James Tarkowski, um, with his kind of gets the ball, clears it perfectly fine, but the follow through and the extending of the leg to hit the opponent, I think that is, you know, I mean, that's outlawed everywhere else. I mean, I'm just a bit mystified how the lino hasn't seen it because he's on that side. He must have heard it as well because I heard it. Um, and yeah, I mean, he's very lucky not to have snapped his leg, I think. But yeah, Ian, what were your thoughts on Dan Moss not getting a second yellow?
Yeah, very, very sad for Ryan Jones overall. Um, you know, Woking were going to go into this game with some heavy tackles, heavy challenges, regardless, I think, of what had happened earlier in April. But it's a derby, you expect a bit of that. But yeah, that's a disgraceful challenge. And yeah, for Moss in particular, he has to be careful doing that to another professional. That just doesn't feel at all right to me. So yeah, very, very frustrated that the ref didn't agree with our opinion on the challenge. And yeah, I hope that Moss apologises to Ryan Jones and that it generally was a heat of the moment thing. He's lost the head rather than a premeditated attempt to do anything like that. And as I said before, yeah, really gutted for Jones. He's played well. Maybe with the challenge in the first half, could Jones been substituted a bit earlier himself so that he was out of the thing? All ifs, buts, and maybes. But overall, it's really, really, really sad.
Yeah, yeah. No, obviously, as Charlie mentioned, there's still 2 league games left. I think he's shown, definitely when he's on the left wing back position, that he's our kind of difference maker. He's set up the goal in the FA Trophy semi-final. He's always looks dangerous as soon as he gets the ball 1-on-1 against the defender, and I don't think we've got we're very short on players that can do that. in
I
in the
feel
whole
he'd have been ideal for Wembley as well with the
the
sort
nice
of
pitch.
the big pitch and the
Mm.
nice pitch. Yeah, hopefully nice. Yes,
Yeah,
not had any NFL on it for a while or anything like that. That does sometimes get the Wembley pitch a bit of criticism. Yeah, I don't know if necessarily everyone will probably say that yeah, Theo was protected because of injury for Wembley, but I think generally it probably was the right call to leave him out on Monday, more for just to take a bit of sting out of the atmosphere and the hostility. So I think that probably on balance was wise. Um, but yeah, and what happened to Jones may still well have happened anyway. It wasn't an either or thing in this case, was it? So yeah,
yeah,
can't whatever you do, you can't really do right with this one.
no, no. I suppose yeah, I feel like Kinsella is probably the only example I can think of recently that a player that kind of had a bit of history with Woking, kind of the season's gone before, and moments where he's over celebrated potentially in front of the Mona's corner or whatever. Um, but yeah, he was never kind of taken out of the frying pan. But I would have, yeah, I don't know. It's just a kind of moral quandary, isn't it? I suppose. But as Tommy said in his post match, I mean, there was a game 4 days ago, and it may well literally just be he picked up a knock. Obviously, we're not privy to those conversations. But yeah, they were all in the away end on Saturday. Him, Harfield, Ollie Scott. Who else is out? Bray, maybe? I don't know. I can't remember who was there. So yeah. The only other thing, yeah, the referee for the Woking game was the same one. He got the same gig, the Woking away again. He gave Josh Stokes his second yellow for simulation last season. So that is Stokes that's missed out on West Brom. It would have been his biggest day for Aldershot, and Ryan Jones will miss out on Wembley. Or obviously, it's not the referee's decision that cost Ryan Jones that. Um, what else? I mean, we best just mention relegation. There is still a chance. Charlie, how how worried are you?
Yeah, I mean it's been a really funny last kind of third or so of the season, hasn't it? Because a couple months ago, I thought we looked in really serious trouble. I think we all did. I couldn't really see where a win was going to come from, and then we went on a fantastic run, and then I was thinking, oh, we could sneak into the top half here. We've got a potential FA Trophy final trip to Wembley. This could end up being a really strong season. Um, and then obviously we've got the FA Trophy final now, which is fantastic, a real highlight. But it does feel like since then, and I think this is kind of natural, but it does feel like since then the season is petering out a little bit when it comes to the league. I think the Boston game, you kind of expected to have a bit of a hangover after the Woking game. York was obviously a bit of a disaster, and then Sutton point there and a Woking a defeat, which was probably unsurprising as well. And then suddenly you're thinking, oh, could disaster strike? Could we end up going down on 54 points? So I do think we'll be fine, even if we were to lose the next two games. I think too many things need to go against us. Um, so I do think we've got enough already. But yeah, I can't see us picking up anything against Barnet, champions elect Barnet. They'll be really desperate to win the league on Saturday against us at their home ground, and obviously they're a brilliant team as well. And then obviously, hopefully we're safe by Yeovil, and it can just be a bit of an enjoyable game. I think if we go into the final day with any chance of going down whatsoever, it'll be a really horrible atmosphere, horrible nervy atmosphere. Because from where we were a few weeks ago to be relegated, that would be an absolute disaster. I still don't think it'll happen. But yeah, let's see after the Barnet game how the table looks.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for me. Obviously, I haven't considered it for about 5, 6 weeks since we got to 52, I think. Well, that seemed to be pretty much safe, because we weren't not going to pick up points, surely. And then we picked up two in that time, and it seems like, yeah, we are stuttering and stalling towards the end of the season in the league matches. Um, but yeah, like you say, if we go, I mean, going into that Yeovil game, just needing a point, or just even having to go on flash scores and look like, I don't think I could face it, to be honest. Ian, your prospects of us being relegated, or finishing the season with a bit of a whimper.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine. Too much has got to go against us, so I think we'll be all right. But it is annoying that we're still not mathematically safe. That is frustrating because yeah, we really thought after Wildstone away, I guess, that it was sorted. Maybe filed at home the week after. So it's still a possibility. I've actually think we might get that point on Saturday in that Barnet, they won on Monday, but the three previous games they were sort of not stumbling over the line, but yeah, I wonder if the occasion will get to them. I noticed that they've reduced the away allocation so that they can increase the amount of home fans that can be there for Saturday. And as a point suits Barnet, that will get them what they need. Then, yeah, maybe we'll get that point that we need on Saturday, and then we can have some fun on the bank holiday Monday against Yeovil. So I'm optimistic, but I am annoyed that, yeah, we're not safe yet.
Well, now you've said that, I love the prospect of kicking it around the back for 80 minutes. Once everyone looks over and goes, right, we're definitely not going to score today. Just make it 0-0. All's well that ends well. That would be carnage, though, wouldn't it? That'd be Would be hated by York forever, and yeah, create more division, I'm sure. So yeah, Barnet are currently 6 points clear of York in second place. With obviously two to play, same as the Shots, who are 6 points off the relegation zone with two to play. Barnet's last game is away to Fylde, probably the worst place possible to confirm um, becoming champions. Listen, Blackpool is nice down the road, sure, but just getting there and getting home. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Do I wish that on them? Kind of. Having lost 7-1 away at Fylde, I think they deserve to go and win it up there. That's the National League kind of snakes and ladders you have to go through, Fylde away. Ex-Shots, Reece Brown and Ryan Glover, have played most of the season for Barnet this year. Almost certainly going to be playing league football next year. Callum Stead up front is top goal scorer with 16. They really have shared the goals around. They've scored plenty. I think that's why there's a general worry that we could get tonked if they do turn it on for that last game. Um, so yeah, shots still in need of a point to secure safety for another season. Um, anything on Barnet, Charlie? How are you feeling?
Uh, yeah, no, I'm not feeling confident. Like the two of you said though, if we could agree on a 0-0 with Barnet, that would be great. Get us both what we want. Um, but yeah, I think just based on the amount of goals we've been shipping recently, and the fact that they are a free scoring team, despite the stumbles they've had recently, I think they'll feel like they're very, very nearly there, and I think they'll be very confident, having got that win. Having got that win on Monday. So, yeah, I'm not feeling good about it. Really, I think we'll probably lose by a couple of goals. Maybe at least I'm predicting maybe a 3-0 defeat here. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, we can spoil the party and yeah, keep the title race going down to the final day at least, and then secure survival for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose it then turns to who is going to be that starting 11 that does it on Saturday. I'm a bit mystified. We've obviously now lost Ryan Jones. Cam Hargreaves, question mark. Was he rested? Was that a Is he got a free match ban? Has anyone looked on FA's website? Because I can't find anything on there. No idea. So he could be back. Who knows? Is it two? Oh, I don't know. No. Not going to press on
I,
that too much, but yeah,
I assume he's out because I can't see why he would have. Well, I assume he was out of the working game because I can't see why he wouldn't have started. Because I think to start Tetek and Keane Anderson, play them together for the first time ever, must be in that game was would be a rogue shout if you had an available Cam Hargreaves. So yeah, it would be great if he's back for Barnet because we do miss him. So, yeah,
yeah,
he must have been out for the working game.
he must be. Yeah, so the centre mid. What's the dream centre mid pairing for you, Charlie, on Saturday?
I think it's hard to say really because I was thinking this about Tetek during the Woking game. I think he's an absolutely brilliant player, and he was getting on the ball a lot, but it just didn't feel like things were. It just didn't feel like things were coming off for him, and I don't know if that's just a bit of rustiness. I don't know if that's just because the whole team weren't really linking up that well, or maybe it was the pitch. Every pitch we play on now seems to be really challenging at the moment. I don't know if that suits people like Tetek. Um, so yeah, it's great to have him back, and I think when he's fit and firing, he has to start. So the dream centre midfield partnership from what we have available would be Hargreaves and Tetek. Um, but yeah, it's been obviously been a while since they played together. I'm not actually sure how much those two have actually partnered this season as well. But I think that would be on paper what I would probably pick if we had everyone available. And in terms of selection for Saturday, I think Tom has just got to pick the strongest team available. We can't make any assumptions about staying up based on other results. We've got to be playing to get at least a point. And I think some criticism has come from some fans that they feel like that hasn't been the case uh, in a couple of games since Woking. Not since the Woking FA Trophy game. So yeah, just got to pick the strongest team available really, and go for at least that point and hopefully a win.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would also agree that yeah, Tetek and Hargreaves is my dream pairing in an ideal world with full fitness, 100% condition. Um, yeah, I mean Tetek does cover a lot of ground as well. I think he's quite an underrated side of his. And if we can get a couple games out of him, I mean to see him at Wembley would be something else because he could spray a pass around that pitch. Ian, what are your thoughts on selection for Saturday?
Yeah, I'm just wondering about now that we have had a lot of games in short succession, but then we're going to have two league games. There'll be 9 days between Barnet and Yeovil, and then 6 days beyond that will be Wembley. And yeah, the players have had a long season, a bit like last year where Tommy mentioned that a lot of players had never played 40 games and it seemed to catch up with them. I think we've got similar things this year. But now that they've been rested, now that there's going to be a longer break between each game, maybe now is the time to try and sort of work out what that Wembley team will be because you can't have players performing at Wembley or coming out there that haven't played for a month. That can't work if you're a professional footballer. I don't know, but it just seems like yeah, now's the time to let's work out what the best available team is, and so that of course Tommy will have a different view to what the three of us and a lot of the other fans will have as the best side. But yeah, I want to be at 2:30 making my way into the Hive, going, okay, that seems all right. Yeah, I can see why he's done that, rather than what is going on here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like you say, the space in between the games should now allow us to get the best. I mean, we have now got,
Mm.
obviously one less player in the squad, Brian Jones, who plays in two quite important positions in our formation. So it looks like the only in person on my list that I can think of in my head is Kai Corbett in that left wing back position. I'm struggling to think of anyone else that could even fill in there other than Tyler Frost on his weaker side. Um, which I mean, Sutton was the first time I'd seen Kai Corbett at left wing back. He it's tough with him. It's just hard to put it's just frustrating because he's clearly a very good technically gifted footballer, but I'm not sure if he's just not battle hardened enough to um, put up with being shoved in the back and pushed over and tackled hard by a right back or a right wing back. Yeah, and he just had a few poor touches in the Sutton game, which is probably enough for me to mark him down as a 5 or something. But nothing extreme. But I mean, it's just that he is probably our first choice left wing back now, I think. Um, and
I
who
think
else? Yeah.
It'll be Tyler Frost at left wing back for the remaining games, assuming he's fit, and then Kai is back up. But I think Kai did pretty well against Fylde at left wing back. I was quite surprised by he had a pretty decent game there. Um, so I don't think it's a terrible option, but it is um, it's an attacking left wing back, should we say? It's, I think it's Tommy's trying to produce, or not produce, but trying to create another Ryan Glover type left wing back, I think, and it's not quite the same, but maybe has a few of the ingredients that are similar.
Yeah, I think the obviously the left side is where we attack the most, and Luca on the left side of centre half should have the freedom to push forward as well, plenty. But we don't really do that much down the right. I know Aaron Jones managed to get quite far forward on Friday against Sutton, and but he tends to get it to invert and come inside, and then we've got kind of he kind of links up with the central midfield, whereas Ryan Jones or Tyler Frost on the left are obviously told to stay as far wide as possible and then try and get balls into the box for whoever's in there. Um, yeah, still waiting on the. I'm not sure on the Kwame experiment as well. That's the only other question mark. Is I think we know what he brings, and we were crying out for him for months, and he won plenty of headers on on Monday. But other than that one, I think in the first half that does fall to Adi Gandor. None of it really looks like it's matching up. Um,
Mm. Yeah, it feels like it's just got sort of less and less effective as the games have gone on. That first two, three games back, we're like, yes, we needed this. This is exactly what we've been missing. And then since then, it hasn't really created anything. It's just, yeah, just hasn't gone anywhere. But yeah, maybe that's who he's playing with, etc. as well. What would be his ideal strike partner? Or is he, a lone man up top and he's got to have Barrett just off him, sort of thing? It's a bit like, when we were saying that Barrett and Henry never seemed to really play that well together. Who does Thomas go best with if we're going to play him?
yeah, I think that was a similar kind of not a criticism last year, but we didn't really know where he's sat,
Mm.
alongside Tolaj, or was it, does he help out? Does he give the ball to Tolaj enough? Or um, yeah, I definitely don't see him as a lone striker, just because I mean, obviously, most recently we've seen Ini Effiong play that central striker role, basically himself, and he can just drag, similar to Marvin Morgan years ago, just drag the ball, 30, 40 yards towards goal and look like you're going to score. I think Kwame generally just has his back to the goal. And then if he's close enough, he's going to be a poacher, sure. But I think, yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. But yeah, as you mentioned earlier, Charlie Barham's kind of half chance against Sutton. I mean, that I feel like I've seen that bouncing ball through down the East Bank with Barham chasing it down so often, and I think we've seen a couple of goals, but I feel like that feels like it should be a goal. It looks like a highlight reel already when I'm watching him sprint towards me, and yeah, just couldn't find it, which would have been ideal, perfect time to score and win the game and confirm survival. But
I
wasn't.
definitely think going back to Thomas, I think he seems to be far more impactful off the bench. I think every time I see him come off the bench, I think, oh, he's making a really positive impact here. Even against Sutton in the closing 20 minutes or however minutes he had, I really thought he made a big difference and caused their defenders lots of problems. But when he starts games, it doesn't seem to have the same effect. And I think that was the case last season as well. Generally speaking, I know he had a couple of good games that he started towards the end of the season, but he just seems to cause more problems for defenders when they're tired, and maybe after they've had a Barham chasing them down for 75 minutes and a Barrett and someone like that. I think that's how we've got to use Kwame really. And yeah, it's great. It's great to have Hadi Gandor back as well. But yeah, I think it's kind of similar to Tetek. I was very surprised to see him just thrown in for a start, given he's not played in X amount of months. I don't think he didn't even get any minutes against Sutton. So to then start against Woking, I thought was really bold. But still, good to have him back as an option.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean to have those two players because I assumed they were gone for the season. So it's nice to have them back in the fold in that squad. Squad looking okay. Hopefully for the last 3 games of the season. Grand. Right. I think that's all we've got time for this week. I'll wait with bated breath. I'm in Berlin, so that's gonna be stressful. Keeping an eye on the Barnet game. Hopefully Dagred will just lose or something and make my day easier. So yeah, we'll see how we get on, and we'll be back next week. Thank you, Charlie, and thank you, Ian.